This is the Glenn Beck program. Senator Ted Cruz from the great state of Texas joins us now to talk a little bit about election integrity, also what's going on with the Senate and the importance of the GOP winning the Georgia runoff elections. But that is, I think we are in a world of hurt because of, they will send residents down to just take up shop. They're already suggesting and encouraging people to do this. It's crazy what's going on. Ted Cruz, welcome to the program.
Glenn, good to be back. Thanks for having me.
So let's first of all start with Donald Trump and the lawyers and the affidavits. Do you see anything here that is disturbing to you that you think will make an impact?
Well, there's certainly a lot disturbing. What we've got to do is let the legal process play out. And we have now multiple cases pending in multiple states challenging the outcomes of the election, calling for recounts, contesting the election. And that litigation has to be adjudicated. And you know, it's very difficult for any of us, for you or me or for someone reading Twitter, to know what exactly is right and accurate about these allegations and what isn't. That's why we have a judicial system. We have a judicial system to test facts, and the obligation now of the Trump campaign's lawyers is to go and prove their case, put on direct evidence, put on expert witnesses, have it subjected to cross-examination, and prove up the case. And the overarching objective should be to ensure that every legal vote is counted, but also that every vote that was illegally cast is not counted, and that's the process that's playing out right now.
Do you have any idea why the rejection rate of the mail-in ballots in Pennsylvania was 0.03 when the best they have is usually just under 1? But new voters who are voting for the first time with mail-in ballots, the rejection rate is usually 3%. Out of 2.6 million, they rejected 951 ballots. That's almost a perfect game. Yeah,
and that certainly suggests that when those ballots come under the next set of scrutiny, that you're going to see a significant additional set of ballots invalidated. So one of the things that gives the greatest cause for optimism is this election in the time of COVID. There's a pretty marked disparity in terms of how the votes were distributed. On Election Day, with in-person voting, Donald Trump won a significant majority of the votes cast by in-person voting on Election Day. Of mail-in voting, Joe Biden won a significant majority of the votes cast early on mail-in voting. Now, here's the good news. If you look historically to recounts, if you look historically to election litigation, the votes cast in person on Election Day tend to stand. It's sort of hard to screw that up. Those votes are generally legal and they're not set aside. Mail-in votes historically have a much higher rate of rejection, which is what you pointed out, that when they're examined, there are a whole series of legal requirements that vary state by state, but mail-in votes consistently have a higher rate of rejection, which suggests that as these votes begin being examined and subject to scrutiny, that you're going to see Joe Biden's vote tallies go down. That's a good thing. The challenge is for President Trump to prevail, he's got to run the table. He's got to win not just in one state, but in several states. That makes it a lot harder to prevail in the litigation. I hope that he does so, but it is a real challenge, and we shouldn't try to convince ourselves otherwise.
So before we go to Georgia, let me express a feeling that I have, and that I think a lot of people who voted for Donald Trump have. We have seen the evidence on what the media has done. We've seen the evidence of what was happening in Ukraine. We have seen the evidence of the Russian collusion case, and no one ever seems to pay for their crimes. We know what Hillary Clinton did. We know what Barack Obama did. We could go back all the way to Benghazi or beyond, and again, no one pays for the crime. I think people feel like, who's going to fight for me that's not beholden to the system? Who's going to fight for me if Donald Trump goes away?
I understand that sentiment, and you're right. I think the single best characteristic of President Trump is that he stands up and fights, and all of us are so tired of Republican politicians that just roll over, that are not willing to fight, that are scared to take a punch, scared to have the media criticize them, and Trump is not, and it is something sorely needed to have strong leaders who will actually fight for us. Now, you talked about people being held accountable. I am beyond frustrated that we've gone through 4 years of the administration and none of the people who committed criminal conduct, politicizing the Department of Justice, politicizing the FBI, politicizing the intelligence operation, none of them have been held accountable. No. None of them have been prosecuted.
No.
And it's maddening.
But it's also the loss of trust in our system, and I think the loss of the republic if no one goes to jail or pays for the crimes, and we don't root out the bad guys, and I think that opportunity is slipping through our fingers. What do we have left, Ted?
You're right, and a big part of the problem. So for the first couple of years, Jeff Sessions was the Attorney General, and Jeff is a decent man for whom the job was simply too big. He was not up for the job. He did not do a good job of it, and there was no accountability for the first couple of years. Bill Barr came in. Barr is a much better Attorney General. I'm grateful at least that Barr has initiated investigations and assigned prosecutors to go after these folks, but they haven't done it yet, and we are potentially running out of time.
Yeah.
So I don't know what the hell's taking.
I don't know either.
So long, but it is. From my perspective in the Senate, sometimes, it's interesting. Social media is interesting. I'll have people yell at me, well, Cruz, why don't you prosecute them? Well, under our constitutional system, that's not actually an authority I have.
Right.
I'm in the legislature. I can introduce legislation. I can pass legislation. I can convene hearings, and I've chaired hearings repeatedly. In fact, just this week, we had Andrew McCabe, the former deputy director at the FBI, who at the hearing I cross-examined and lit him up. But I don't have the ability to convene a grand jury and secure an indictment. Only the executive branch can do that, and so I can call for it. But it's got to be the executive branch that actually executes that.
All right, because we're going to run out of time. Is it true you can move to Georgia and then move away after you voted?
Well, you can. There is some possibility if you do that, you'll get prosecuted for voter fraud, but that would be after the fact, and that would be after a crazy left-wing socialist Democrat was elected. And let me be very clear. If the Democrats win these two seats, and it's very possible that they win these two seats, then we go from a 52-48 Senate to a 50-50 Senate. If Joe Biden is president, that means Chuck Schumer is majority leader. And if Chuck Schumer is majority leader, there will be zero constraints on the most radical left-wing ideas they're pursuing. If Chuck Schumer is majority leader, they will end the filibuster. They will pass a massive tax increase. They will enact the Green New Deal, which will destroy millions of jobs, especially in the state of Texas. And not only that, they will add 2 new states to the union designed to get 4 new Democratic senators immediately. And they will pack the U.S. Supreme Court. They will add 4 new left-wing activist judges who will take away our free speech rights, our religious liberty rights, our Second Amendment rights. All of that threat is a clear and present danger, and it all happens January 5th, one way or the other.
So what do we do?
Win. That is the only answer, is to win Georgia. I am traveling to Georgia. I'm spending money. I'm sending my team. I'm engaging in resources. I'm doing everything I can to turn out conservatives, turn out freedom-loving Georgians, turn out anybody, because this is a fight. It's not just for Georgia. It is now for the entire country.
Let me know if there's anything we can do to help on the ground there, because We are in deep trouble, Ted. Deep trouble if they get it. Joe Manchin said he's not going to, he won't pass any of those things, but I don't really want to risk the country on hoping and wishing that somebody on the other side is going to rescue us.
I don't believe Manchin at all. And if Schumer is majority leader, I'll tell you who is effectively majority leader is AOC, because Schumer will be terrified of being primaried from the left by AOC. He's seen too many Democrats defeated to left-wing primary challenges. That means there is nothing, absolutely nothing, Schumer wouldn't do to appease AOC and the far left. That is dangerous.
Real quick, we had Bush versus Gore. We had some of the best attorneys in the country. Do we have the best attorneys now?
No. And one of the things that I have urged the president and the Trump legal team is to bring in bigger guns. I'll tell you candidly, some of the top lawyers have not been eager to jump into this, and that is a frustrating dynamic. I wish, if you look at what happened in Bush versus Gore, the team that was assembled, I think, was the dream team of litigators, and unfortunately, they have not done the same thing here.
Ted Cruz, thank you so much. God bless.
Thank you. God bless.